Good Girls, the story of and study of anorexia by Hadley Freeman. I heard Hadley Freeman on Blocked and Reported, last week's Blocked and Reported, I don't know, whatever, the September something, 2024. So this is a story, well, 19, yeah, it goes back into the 20th century, the 19s, because it basically starts her story, her personal story with anorexia, begins in when she's 14 in 1992, I believe, somewhere around there. And she is an American young woman who who is a journalist, a writer, worked for The Guardian a lot, apparently still writes for The Guardian, maybe, I don't know, but she produced this book. So all about her days and struggles with anorexia that included hospitalization. So anorexia mostly occurs in adolescent women. Or women in general. It can happen in older women. It's not so much adult onset, I don't think, but if you had it young when you were young, it can recur later because you have all the markers and the mechanisms. You know how it feels. You maybe want that again. That type of control. Yeah, and it is a lot about control. In a way, you know, she tries to look into why this occurs, and of course, this is one of these things where there is no no one actually knows why, and the whys might be quite individualized from person to person, and there is no particular cure, except the cures or what recovery people have, their paths to recovery are also unique to their personality. So it's kind of a baffling thing that goes on in the mind, and the kind of overriding thing about it is that since it occurs in adolescent girls who are about to take the change, or in the process of changing to become grown up women. And they might be afraid of that. They might not want to be that. They might not want to be the object of male gaze or male groping or whatever as they grow, womanly body attributes or features. And that might cause them to panic. And I think a disease, something like this, is very much about control, and it's about taking control of your own destiny in a confused and distorted way that, of course, leaves you without any control at all, and messes up your life for however long it goes. It goes on, and some people it goes on for many years. She is hospitalized. She's living in England at the time. She is born in New York, and her father was what I think was an investment banker or something. So they moved to England, and they're wealthy. So or at least as far as I'm concerned, they seem kind of wealthy to me. So they moved to London, and she so that's where her disease manifests, because that's where she becomes a teen girl. And of course, her parents don't know what to do, and they end up putting her in the hospital because that's what's recommended. She's going to die otherwise, because it's a really a mind web that they get, a black snake, she calls it, that they get involved with destructive thoughts within them that are, in essence, self-destructive, and in fact, self-destructive, and because they are denying the self growth, trying to shrink the self to be maybe invisible, really be in control so much, and not have the world outside affect the person so much. I think that's, one of we live in a stressful, anxiety-ridden world, and for adolescents, going from one thing to another, and finding that they're going to be changing now. Now, I'm having the same sort of experience in a way, because I know there are markers, and I feel that I'm going from, whatever, middle age I was for a while, that seemed to last for a pretty long time, into where I am now, facing like old age. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. So a lot of the things in this book, I can transpose and relate to my own issues of that kind of change, that kind of transition, that kind of thing that all humans go through as they go through adolescence into late senior citizenhood, and all the fearful things, real fearful things that are attached to that, like ill health, like being dependent on others, like losing your mind and not knowing who you are, and all these really bad things, and having some kind of a situation where you can break down, like a living situation. I don't have a living situation where I can kind of break down and be cared for and not be working and bringing in money. That's not possible. So it makes me kind of run through my brain of things that I can do to get out of this. So that's kind of where I'm at very much the time at the moment, which might be a psycho situation that is not dissimilar to that of adolescent girls who are trying to control their situations as they go from that transition to being a child into an adult. So she talks, she's in the hospital in the 90s here. So it's only like 30 years ago, and but she talks about how the methods were a little cruder then. Like, there was a nurse that yelled at them, and they when you go to hospital, you have to eat your certain amount of food, or they can force feed you with a tube or something, if your parents approve that. I think her parents did not approve it, or I think she only had that once or something, and I don't know. She avoided that one. There's a few stories about the other girls that she meets in these places, about the doctors that she confronts. Dr. R, who's her first doctor, who she just never really liked, and he seemed kind of disconnected. He never took notes. She always points out that he never took notes. And, he only saw people for a half hour, which of course she liked, because then she could control other things, things she's always trying to control. You have to be very vigilant if you have this kind of an addictive, compulsive behavior going on. Finally, when she, does recover enough to be out in the world, and how she does that is that she finds that there are things that she really wants. And she also looks at other people in this, the last hospital she was in. There's hospitals that have numbers, like Hospital 1, Hospital 2, Hospital 3, Hospital 4. So she sees that there are, old people who are getting on in some of these situations, like, well into their 30s, and one person like 50, or something, like a guy who's like in his 50s, and she realizes she does not want to be that. So there is a type of will that took hold in her. Her doctor suggested she quit school, and she did not quit school, which, kept trying to go back to school, even though she was absent for like a month here or 4 months there or whatever, as she was having these repeated hospital incarcerations. I mean, it's a lot like reading prison stories in a way, because, the conspiracies that go on between the patients, inmates a little bit, and watching. They're always watching you, because that's, they need to watch you, or you will not eat your food and stuff like that, or you will be bulimic or binge or something. And she was not a vomiter, so that was not part of her thing. But they would hide food, they would crumble things up, they'd smear the butter on the bottom of the table so they wouldn't have to eat the calories in the butter. She goes on and on about what calories are in things. It's always the she gets really OCD and worries like, if she touches a pole on like a subway train, if like residual calories that are still on the pole from somebody's mayonnaise they ate earlier, not like the smeared from their hand or something, but I don't know, somehow through the air, just really really insane stuff about kind of picking up calories from the atmosphere that are going to make her fat. So that's what goes on. She does talk about how this is similar to other adolescent things that are going on, and a lot of them are autistic too, or you can have autistic symptoms if you starve yourself long enough. You appear autistic because you're kind of like but it can also, the autism can come before. So that's what I said. This is all very complicated, and I'm just sort of giving you my old guy take on what it all is about. I looked at Goodreads, and I was aware of this part of the book because Block and Reported talk about this stuff quite a bit. So it was not anything that I was blindsided by. But in chapter 7, she does talk about the transgender things with adolescents, and how these things are quite similar to the dysmorphia, the body images that go on with with anorexia, and how like, gee, wouldn't it would be odd if a patient came in with anorexia and said, I just know I do not want to eat, and I know I cannot eat, and I know I'm right, and this is my image of myself as a non-eater, and if the doctor would affirm that, what would happen then? Well, of course, they'd die. So she questions the affirmation of adolescents who are dealing with gender dysmorphia. So I looked on Goodreads after I finished the book just a couple hours ago, and noticed many of the reviewers just could not get past that. They reading on, and the whole thing is thrown out because this person is a TERF, because they question anything in gender ideology, and therefore the whatever she says can be thrown out. And that fits with this review too. Whatever I say can be tossed out for the same reason. So I thought it was a pretty good read. I was quite interested in it all. One thing, it's not just my age, it's my attitudes about things. She makes references to very popular movies quite a bit, like Spaceballs, a lot of movies that you would know what she's talking about, and turns out I had not seen any of these movies, so apparently I'm not much of a popular movie viewer. And it was interesting to me, the power of the movie industry, how it's assumed that you've seen these things. It's not assumed that you ever read a book. It's not assumed that you ever listen to particular music, I don't think. Maybe more so with that, because it's so much, one of these things that are just out there like that. But, with the movies, it's kind of assumed that everybody kind of watches the popular movies, and not just in this book, in other books, and are going to get the references. There are other people talking, like I listened to Matt Taibbi talk on American This Week, and he brings up movies quite a bit. And they're never movies I saw. It's like, it's like in da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I get what you're saying, but I don't know the movie. So So that's I guess that's what I'm going to say about Good Girls. I thought it was quite good and interesting. I think I learned a lot. I think I thought a good deal about my own issues. Oh, with eating, like after she becomes very compulsive about food. Like, this is not supposed to touch that. That's not supposed to touch this on the plate. Or like, and she doesn't want people to touch her food. Like at the supermarket, she'll go back into the stacks and get the one that probably hasn't been touched. Of course, it's going to be touched by the guy that's stacking the shelves, but I guess she didn't think about that so much. So, and I don't, I have some issues myself with eating. I'm rather thin, so. But I'm weird about eating. I don't really like to eat with other people either. I lived with someone for like 5 years, whatever, and I don't think we ever really sat down to dinner together, except for maybe when we got frozen pizza and ate that together. We just sort of ate what we ate, So there's there's something messed up with me about food and dinner. It could have been just dinner time at home, and how unpleasant it was when I was a child to sit down with my parents, and whatever issues would come up, or whatever silence would come up, so yeah, I still to this day, old people don't really need to eat a lot of food, so I get by very little. I kind of eat oats every morning, and then I just sort of eat a rice cake with cracked almond butter on it and a Cliff Bar or something, and that's kind of I'm going to have some popcorn right now. It's what, 6:30 in the evening on Sunday. I'm going to have some popcorn and probably watch Due Descendants or something. So yeah, that's what I am. I'm kind of a weird eater, and I have had addiction issues, basically my entire life with marijuana. So she gets involved with cocaine afterwards, which works for a while and then it doesn't, which is what I've heard from other people. I don't have any cocaine history, so I can't report that. So okay, Good Girls by Hadley Freeman. I thought it was good. You might think it's good, or you might think it's turf garbage, and well, that's up to you.